Just got a new scan and it still looks very significant right around Clear Pond with that rotation. Rotation is starting to weaken a little bit, but that doesn't mean a tornado is not still on the ground, because we do have that tornado signature and potentially even some of this debris that's being lofted into the storm. Winter alerts through Thursday afternoon and evening. Ice, snowfall going to be a possibility. That ice is set up because of the colder air at the surface, the warmer air aloft. We're seeing that snow melted down towards rain, and then it refreezes once it makes contact with the surface. Sioux City, you've got 40s, even near 50 on Tuesday. Then Mother Nature kind of yanks the rug out from under our feet, and we get back into that deep chill. The system is really going to strengthen quickly along the Gulf Stream as we see that trough digging on in. It's going to bomb out. So we have the bombogenesis, or a bomb cyclone, which is a 24-hour millibar drop. So the pressure dropping within a 24-hour period. 6+ inches towards Kalamazoo, north of Fort Wayne, Chicago included in that. Detroit, Flint, heaviest rainfall, 1 to 2 inches of rain through the Ohio Valley. Southern lower Michigan, even out towards Chicago, so that could be some ice below the snow.
The best part is thinking of the photographer going out there and just following the beaver through the snow. I think that's my favorite part.
And they are not phased at all. They're just doing their own thing. I mean,
they certainly
they
are.
probably don't even realize he's there. They're just like, I got to get this. I got to go to work. Got to make that money for my kids.
Yeah.
They do the same thing we do. As that moisture approaches the coastline, it's allowed to rise, eventually condensing, forming clouds and heavy bands of snow. Now, that banding of snowfall at times can be significant, leading to whiteout conditions. That watch, time to prepare. That warning, time to put that preparation into action. Could see a pretty significant band from Sault Ste. Marie all the way out into Canada because of that fetch off of Lake Superior and also Lake Huron. I'm not saying play hooky, but the best weather will be as we look towards Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because by the weekend, that cold front swings on in and we are going to see some rain involved with it and also those plummeting temperatures behind it. It's always important, no matter where you live, no matter what time of the year it could be, these severe thunderstorms are definitely more dangerous when you're asleep, when you don't have your eyes or your mind constantly on what those storms are doing and if they're moving in your direction. So it's always good to have those warnings that can wake you up, multiple ways of getting warnings, and that's going to be important tonight. Don't let your guard down in the severe thunderstorm watch. We could still have an isolated tornado or two here. Most of this watch is encompassing that risk for strong damaging winds, large hail, potentially upwards of 2 inches in diameter. We're going to watch out for a couple different systems here across the deep south to bring in some of that slim. What are we talking about when we say slim? Shear, lift, instability, and moisture. All four are going to be present here as we move into the early and middle portion of the week, and that's going to bring us that severe weather risk. Wondering how long this time lapse was and how frozen her hands probably were.
That's what we thought the first time we saw this video. I would 100% be wearing gloves if that were me in the cold.
Yeah, and maybe those like gloves that you hit the button and it warms up your hands.
Oh, even that, yeah.
That's probably what I would go to, especially with how cold things were in the Northeast. Also have a correlation coefficient drop right around the Olmsted area that's going to be moving towards Macon, Toonieysville, eventually getting out towards the Candlewood Estates, Parnell, Bailey Estates. We have this significant tornado, destructive tornado on the ground at this time. Tornado emergency. That means a tornado is on the ground and can do some serious damage. Make sure you are getting into that lowest interior room, as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. Bring something to cover your head. Southern central Texas out towards Louisiana, southern Arkansas, Mississippi. That's where we have the deeper cold air compared to 24 hours ago, 15 to even 30 degrees colder than this time yesterday. But it will be fairly short-lived. This is not going to be a cold snap that is going to linger for days. With field meteorologist Tracy Anthony, who is standing by getting ready for those storms to eventually roll on through. And as you can see behind her, there's snow on the ground. So this is a very interesting setup we have going. That snowfall is moving on out, but we are going to see some freezing fog behind this system. We had some of that melting that is going to allow for that moisture to head right back into the lower levels of the atmosphere as those temperatures plummet down towards the dew point. We are going to see some of that fog developing, and because those temperatures are going to be below freezing, it's going to freeze on contact with everything that is exposed to it. So it's going to be very icy across these locations. We're getting a lot of this water that is just off to the north that's streaming on down into some of the communities, the streams, the rivers, the lakes that are down here in towards the Bastrop County. While it was nice to see a little bit of that sunshine to start the day on our Wednesday, I wouldn't get used to it because we do have several systems that are going to roll on in, bringing the extra clouds and even a little bit of accumulating snowfall. Those that are under the winter storm watches, still time to get prepared for the ice and the snow, where we have the advisories and warnings, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, up into Missouri, Kansas, even out towards New Mexico with these next couple waves of energy. This is time to kind of hunker down and make sure you have all the necessities just in case you can't travel for a little bit or you lose power. This corridor right in here, as we look towards New Mexico, Panhandle of Texas, and Oklahoma, that's where we're going to see the significant snowfall. But as that moisture starts to return out ahead of the system, we could even see towards Lubbock, Midland, into Clovis, Carlsbad, some of that light freezing rain, and maybe even a little bit of light snow included as well. So this is going to be a messy next couple of days for folks here across the southern plains. We are now finally over where Nashville is at that snowfall for the month of January. Usually in Denver, we average about 6.6, so we're about 4 inches above that after today's snowfall, which we did see about 5 inches of new fresh powder. That broke a daily record, which was set just back in 1980. We're going to have some milder temperatures out there on Wednesday before the big time cool down, so anything that is able to melt will refreeze very quickly into Thursday morning. So even if you don't get that glaze of ice, it's just all snow, but you have some of that melting that occurs the next couple of days, you're gonna have to watch out for some black ice. There's that instability. We've got warm, moist air that is settling on in right around that low pressure center. So we do have some instability here. We'll also watch down here into southern Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, maybe even into Mississippi for a couple rogue storms that could potentially develop. But of course, the greater support is right around that low pressure. So that's why we have that highlighted into Missouri and Iowa. If you are in any of these winter alerts, make sure you're not going anywhere if you don't have to. It might just be a good night in, make some hot chocolate, put on a movie, and just ride this storm out. We've got a warm front that is extending all the way up in towards the Great Lakes, and then our cold frontal boundary that is right down into portions of Texas. So a lot happening with this storm system. Each phase, each front is producing some precipitation. We only have about 3.5% of total ice coverage, and that's likely into the northern shores of Lake Superior. Pretty much every other lake is still too warm in the 30s and 40s, but that big time temperature difference with the teens and 20s for our actual air temperatures coming over those 40-degree water conditions, that's what's leading to that significant lake effect snowfall. Want to reiterate that whenever you're put under a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, get inside, get into that lowest interior room, because who would have known if this tornado or the winds were stronger that some of that debris could have come right on top of that individual that was videotaping. Where we have the 60s, 70s, that's ahead of the front. Behind the front, we're in the 50s and the 40s, and even closing in on the upper 30s into Nashville, Tennessee right now. Got 58 in Atlanta currently, 73 in Houston. It's a balmy 80 degrees out there towards Tampa, and we are going to continue to see some of these cooler temperatures settling in for everyone by tomorrow morning and during the day on Monday and Tuesday. The only one that really won't be playing ball is here into central and southern Florida. It was a gorgeous start to the day on Monday with the clouds, a little bit of that sunshine underneath them as the sun was rising. Definitely was a cooler start to the day, though. I'm sure many people weren't a fan of just how cold things were, but hey, at least the sun was out. And while we will see a brief warm up here over the next several days, we are going to watch for more cold, more snow to roll on through for the rest of this week. Couple systems that we're going to dissect here across the north central. We've got one that's coming out of the Rockies into our Thursday. Could see about 6 to 2 feet of snowfall, and that's 6 inches to about 2 feet of snow. That 6 inches is going to be more so into Nebraska. Then we get 1 to 2 feet through Wyoming into Colorado as we see a little bit more influence from the Rockies. And then a different system Tuesday into Wednesday is going to bring some accumulating snowfall from North Dakota to the upper peninsula of Michigan. Closer to the Great Lakes, it's going to be about 4 to 12 plus inches of snowfall in towards North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, western Minnesota, should I say, is going to be about 1 to 5 inches of snow. But the wind could be fairly strong, and we could see near blizzard conditions in that winter storm watch through North Dakota and Minnesota. So that's something that does bear watching. Into our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's when that serious chill is going to come back into play. Bismarck, your overnight low into Thursday morning will be down to -21, and then you're going to factor in those winds, and it's going to be maybe 30 to 40 degrees below zero with that wind chill. Cold front system, low pressure, going to all combine for that accumulating snowfall through the high plains into the Great Lakes. Then there's that second system that I was talking about through the Rockies in towards Nebraska, in through Kansas, Missouri, southern Iowa. Going to be seeing some of that accumulating snowfall, which could put down a stripe of 6+ inches of snow. Across the north, it's going to be a little bit less snow unless you get into that lake enhancement where you'll see a little bit more of that snowfall accumulation. High temperatures going to be struggling mightily as we head past these couple of systems. You look towards Des Moines, only 6 degrees on Thursday, into Madison, only 11 degrees by Thursday, and that's the high temperature. Not even talking about the low temperature, which into La Crosse, as you start the day on Friday, going to be to -13 with those wind chills likely down towards -20 to maybe even as cold as -30. Cold front rolls through the Great Lakes, going to bring some of that accumulating lake effect snowfall across Lake Michigan and Lake Superior, and we will see a few inches of snowfall even into the lower peninsula of Michigan. Those overnight lows here as we roll into our Tuesday morning, definitely going to be colder away from that lake influence into the teens and single digits, 20s everywhere else, and our high temperatures are going to be plummeting after these next couple of systems down through the teens and the 20s as well. Marquette, you'll still have that influence from Lake Superior, so even though the brunt of the cold air will be all around you, you'll still see a little bit warmer conditions for your highs and your lows, not getting below zero anytime soon. Into the rest of the Central Plains, we will have that stripe of accumulating snowfall through Kearney, Lincoln, Kansas City, out towards St. Louis into our Wednesday and Thursday time frame, and that's where we'll likely see some of that light to moderate accumulating snowfall. Overnight temperatures through the teens and the 20s. We are going to see daytime highs, not too bad on Tuesday. Then they'll start to fall down, even getting down into the teens for your high temperatures into Kansas City after that accumulating snowfall.